What's going on out there? Once again, welcome to another exciting edition of KDG proudly presents Movie Talk Challenge. And we got a great challenge for you tonight. We have Iron Man versus the Man of Steel. All right, it's going down right here. Bam! Check this out. Oh my bad. I got to flip it around. Bam! Look at that, huh? You probably can't see it, but it's Iron Man right here. This is Iron Man right here. You can't hardly see it, but it is. It's in there. One of the original copies from 2008 when it first dropped. All right. So these films you gotta have in your film library, man. Okay. And only here at Movie Talk Challenge can you see two great films of the same genre, go at it neck to neck for film supremacy. You need these in your library ASAP. Okay, let's go down to it. It's your man, your boy, your ace, Andre Shane, better known as Mr. Shoes. Will you recognize? And we know how we do it here, all right? This episode dose, all right? And what we do here, we have a 4-point grading system. Now, I'm not gonna go through all of that, all right? You gotta watch the first episode, numero uno, to see how we break down the whole 4-point grading system. But we're gonna start with the first point of grading, which is the origin. So I'm gonna go ahead and go straight into it. All right, the origin story. We're gonna go into Iron Man's origin story. Now, the origin story of Iron Man is pretty cool because you see they give a backstory in the film about Stark Industries and how it started through Tony's dad, and then Tony's dad, of course, gets gunned down, he gets killed, and in his absence, because Tony's so young, not as young as like something like Batman or something like that, but he's young enough where he's not old enough to run this multi-billion-dollar industry. So Obadiah Stane takes in. So Obadiah Stane takes in and he runs things while Tony is still going to school and still maturing. As time goes on, the prodigal son returns, Tony Stark's, and he takes over the enterprise. All right, he takes over the industries. So he's now in power. And he becomes this philanthropist / playboy. He's cutting checks and he's getting laid left and right. Oh yeah, he's living the life. All right, he's willing and dealing. You know what I'm saying? All right. So he's doing this thing, and all of a sudden one day he's giving a demonstration out here in Afghanistan. All right, he's showing the troops this new Jericho missile. Everything's going all good, big celebration. And as they start to leave and head to the airport, head to the plane stripped basically to catch a flight to get back to the States. His Humvee that he's in gets ambushed. All right, so they shoot up the Humvee. He somehow makes it out, but ironically, a missile, a Tony Stark Industries missile, comes right by him, lands where he's presently standing. He's hauling ass. It goes off. The shrapnel catches him in the chest. Boom. All right. So he doesn't die. Of course he doesn't die. So what ends up happening is that he ends up surviving, but he's inside of a cave in Afghanistan, and he's held captive. All right, by these terrorist group. So they're holding him captive, and he gets this little, chest, monitor. Which is what he, uses to turn into Iron Man later on in Infinity Wars. But that heart chest protector is what powers his suit, is what keeps him alive, essentially. So he goes through this, life-changing experience in this cave in Afghanistan. He gets out, he escapes, and he comes back to the States. Now, when he comes back to the States, he wants to change Tony Stark Industries for the good. He wants to do a whole, make a whole, U-Haul of it. He wants to redo everything and send it in the right direction. This sends him down the path of doing good and turns him into Iron Man. All right? Now, that's Tony Stark's, his origin story. Now, the origin story of Superman. Now, Superman, everybody knows the story. The Kryptonian child is placed in the capsule, left. He's sent out into space in this capsule from his home planet Krypton that is destroyed. He's the last sole survivor, which that we think at the time, and he lands on Earth in this little small town called Smallville in Smallville, Kansas. So, and he's raised by Jonathan Kent and as well as Martha Kent. They both raise him. So the deal is, in this film, Zack Snyder directs it, and Christopher Nolan, he's one of the co-writers of the story. And the story, if you saw the first video, Christopher Nolan, he goes in depth with the origin. You know what I'm saying? And the origin story is basically Jor-El, the father of Superman, goes into the Kryptonian Council and he tells them, like, hey, because he's one of the chief advisors, and he's like, hey, give me the control of the Kryptonian genetics, codex. Give me the control over that. You know what I'm saying? I'll make sure, it's not ruined. I make sure that it's it will be safe. It's in good hands with me. And they trust, Jor-El. They really do. So they go ahead and give him the control over it. Now, here comes General Zog. He comes in there and he's like, yo, I'm leading a rebellion. I'm taking over everything. And this is within hours of Krypton about to explode. It's about to implode. It's about to, go off. So he tells Jor-El, like, hey, man, you're my man, but I'm going to need you to either get down with us or guess what? You're going to get gunned down. So, so kind of like Beanie Siegel, you're going to get down, you're going to lay down. So, hey, my man Jor-El, he's fighting for time here. Him and Zog are really good friends, but however, Jor-El has his own plans, so he breaks free from Jor-El's rebellion, gets a codex, hauls ass back home. Laura, his wife, is giving birth to Kal-El, aka Superman, and they go ahead and Jor-El takes the codex, crushes the codex into like some dust, and this codex is what Kryptonian life comes from. And you see, things are not done naturally in Krypton. Like, there's no such thing as natural birth. A woman's not giving birth to a child, to a Krypton child. She's going through science. It's going through science using the codex, and the codex gives each and every single Kryptonian a purpose in life. Whether they want to be a scientist, whether they want to be a doctor, this codex gives them that DNA to do that task. So they're born with a purpose. But what's so special about Superman, Laura gave natural birth to Superman. First time in centuries this has been done. So Superman has been given a choice to do whatever he wants to do. So they take the codex, turn it into dust, spreads it all over him like ashes, puts him in a capsule, sends him out of here. So he's entering the atmosphere, of Krypton and leaving the planet. Now, of course, General Zod comes in and breaks through. He comes in and breaks in and tries to stop it, but, too late. He's already out of here. Now, that's basically Superman's origin story. So, if I had to choose between which one is better, I would have to go with Superman because Superman alone, his story is iconic. But, if you've seen Kill Bill 2 and you've seen the scene with the late, great David Carradine, he breaks it down better than anybody. In that scene in Kill Bill 2 when he's talking to Uma Thurman towards the end of the movie. It's a great scene. But he has an iconic, really great, like, it's different from anybody's origin story, but what makes this great is the fact that Superman was born to do good. He comes into planet Earth and he's raised by these two great, decent human beings that just gives him this moral compass for him to do good. And he does. Now, Iron Man, on the other hand, he's a playboy, he's a philanthropist, he's cutting checks, he's getting laid, he's living a life, but he is blind to what's going on in his own company. And he doesn't have a concern until he gets kidnapped. Once he gets kidnapped, then he realizes, holy crap, something's got to change. So he goes through this whole horrific event to change him for the good. Where you have Superman, who's always been good since day one. So I'm going to give it to Superman for the win. First point. Superman. All right, now the second one we go into is the story. Now, Iron Man's story is basically about him, how he takes over the company after he comes out of the cave. He takes over the company, but Obadiah Stane, he wants to do, what he's been doing for the longest, since, Tony has been blinded by the women and the fame and the money. He wants to keep this war going. He wants to keep making this money. And selling his weapons off to terrorists and, outside threats to the world and, all these different organizations that are just bad for the planet. He wants to go ahead and just keep wars going on so they can keep selling these weapons. And of course, Tony's against that. So the film is basically about Tony finding his way to becoming Iron Man and going against the old chairman of his company, which is Obadiah Stane, and doing the right thing. Okay? So we go on to Superman. Superman, his story is basically about him making a choice. Because for years, since he was born, he has this great gift, he has this great power, but his father and his parents tell him, like, hey man, you can't be using this power. Mainly his father. You can't be using this power, because if you use this power, then that's going to make other people, question themselves, and it's going to bring a lot more trouble than it's worth. So you might as well just keep it under wraps. So Superman, he, is dealing with just being a basic farmer, but he knows he's meant to do greater, but his father's wishes is for him just to live a simple, plain life. But through the threat of Zog, General Zog, that comes to Earth, he's forced to make a decision, whereas he needs to report to General Zog, who gives the world a threat. He gives the world a message basically saying that we have one of our own that's here, that living among you, and we need him to come to us. And if he does not come to us, we're going to destroy your planet. So he either ignores this, allows Zog to destroy the planet, or he becomes Superman and gives Zog exactly what he wants, and then end up saving the day anyway. Superman does that. You know what I'm saying? But it's all about him, a coming of age story where Superman, Clark Kent becomes Superman. And it's a great story, great film. I definitely enjoyed the story. I enjoyed both of the stories, actually, because the whole concept of the whole weapons, the money that is involved with the whole arms dealing. And you think about the NRA, and you think about these high school shootings. I mean, the NRA, the politicians are in the pocket of the NRA. So this happens where people are given weapons to create wars and to create certain agendas, and people are making money off of this. So it's never going to stop. So this is very real with Iron Man, and also with also with Superman. That coming of age story of Superman finding his purpose is great. I love it. Both of them get a point. So Superman's got 2, Iron Man's got 1. So I'm going to move on to villains. So we have Obadiah Stane, which is Iron Man's villain. Ironmonger, kind of sound like Killmonger, but we have Ironmonger here. He's bent to make money and to create war so he can make this money, so he can keep selling these arms, these weapons. So that's pretty villain-like. That's definitely a bad guy, if I would say. However, with Superman's villain, General Zog, you can compare this to Goku and Vegeta. It's very similar in what they want. Vegeta, who is a Saiyan, he has a Saiyan pride, but General Zog, he's a Kryptonian, and he has Kryptonian pride. And he just wants to recreate Krypton on Earth. And Superman is that key because he has that codex within his flesh. So he needs Superman to help create that. But Superman, is not down with that. So I think General Zog, being more powerful than any weapons you can manufacture, is way more of a villain. Because he has that conflict and he's more powerful than Obadiah Ironmonger. So I'm going to give General Zog the win. So Superman's got 3. And for the star rating, we have Iron Man receiving 4 stars. Superman receives 3.5. So I'm going to have to give this one to Superman. That's right, Superman wins it. Man of Steel, baby. So I hope you enjoyed the show. And once again, tell my bachelors and bachelorettes out there, keep your shoes